Action.
www.sufon.eu.
Okay.
Say happy.
Okay.
I do chest effect. Hi, I'm Emlyn. We've just come up to Town Hill tonight to meet Mark Rayworth, who was a witness to one of the triangles on the night of the triangles, 19th of January 1983. He was 8 years old at the time, and he was with his mother and his sister, I believe. Yeah.
That's right.
And so he was in the early evening because it was a school night, so he wouldn't have been up that late. So he's not sure of the exact time, but we hope to find that out shortly when he has a word with his mother later on. So, Mark, what can you tell us about that night?
Well, we was going walking my friend home. I think it was roughly around 7. I did confirm that with my mother. We just got to the gate there, started walking up, and my mother said, "Look at that." That's what I heard. And we looked up to the sky, and right there was 2 huge triangles, biggest things I've ever seen. One in front of the other. The left one was in front of the right one, just travelling out to sea very slowly. No noise to them at all. I remember the big white rings underneath them and the lights going off all over them.
So you see there were 2 triangles?
2, yeah.
What sort of height were they, Mark?
I would say roughly, and this would be guessing now, but roughly around 500.
Yeah. How old were you at the time?
8.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult for you to remember all the exact details.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can do your best then. So
I just remember the size of them.
yeah.
I'd say if they were down here, I would say they were bigger than 2-footer pitches, easy.
How long were you watching them for? Were they sort of static or
We were here
moving
for
slowly?
about 20 minutes. We were here, roughly.
So they're moving quite slowly then, were they?
They hardly moved. By the time we left, they'd hardly moved. So
And no sound whatsoever?
no sound at all, nothing at all. And it's my mother that said, "Let's go," in the end, because we had to take my friend home
Yeah.
because his mother was waiting. So
What were the lighting conditions like? Were the street lights on?
the street lights were coming on. My mother confirmed to me that it was just getting dark. So I thought it was dark, but she confirmed it was just getting dark. It was. And
Were there any lights displayed on these objects?
yeah, there was a white ring underneath, and there was, I remember, yellow lights, white lights going off all over it. So it's like as if they wanted to be seen.
What was the depth of the craft?
It was deep.
Because the way I imagine in my mind is
You
like
mean the
just like a
thickness of the
flat.
craft?
The thickness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't know the exact thickness, but it was quite deep. But looking at it, they looked shallow,
Yeah.
but they weren't, because they were just too big.
So you say they were heading south, yeah?
Yeah. So if that's
So
south.
Lawrence, if you could turn and get a shot of the... If you could get Mark pointing up to exactly where they were in the sky. Right?
Just there.
Okay. Right. Yep. So what you can see is that's we're looking southeast there, so they'd be heading from left to right.
Towards the
Yeah,
beach,
yeah.
basically.
They
Towards
were
Swansea.
went straight out to the beach. Yeah.
So just to get your bearings, we're right by Grygloth Square, just down there. And then behind us we've got Town Hill Road, heading past the police station. You know the area. And we've got a shot of numbers there just down there. So people can get their bearings. So Mark, you said he was it was just getting dark. So 19th of January, just getting dark, it'd be something like 5 o'clock. Was it?
Was it? I'm lost with
4
that one.
5
My-
o'clock?
my mother
It's
confirmed more.
midwinter, so
Yeah. Yeah.
what can you remember? Was it dark or was it
I
dusk or-
I remember it being dark.
Dark,
but
right.
my mother said it was just getting dark. So
right? But you remember it as
I remember
dark.
it, yeah, because of the lights shining on it. So Yeah.
And you said you watched it for some considerable time.
Yeah,
Was that
about 20 minutes.
because of the object, or you just stopped talking anyway?
We was just fascinated with it, so we just, we were staring at it for ages. And by the time we walked my friend home, who's over on Gwynedd Avenue. By the time we come back, they'd gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Was it eerie?
eerie. No, it was more exciting than anything. It was like fascinating.
Didn't feel the threat.
Nothing at all. I wanted to know more. Even as young as I was, I wanted to know more
Have
about
you
him.
done any research as a
Yeah, since I was a kid, really. After that, it was a big interest of mine. So when I was in school, I started subscribing to the magazines and everything. So that sparked my interest. No noise at all. Totally silent. And as I say, the white rings underneath are just bright, and the lights just going off.
Yeah, when you say ring, are they individual lights coming down in the shape of a circle?
Yeah, the actual rings were white. There was
so
rings underneath.
So circular lights all around the outside.
There was a white ring. It was just all white.
Right.
The whole ring, and then the lights were going off all over the triangle. So the front, the sides, there were lights going off. There was lights intermittently going off all over them. Yeah, on both of them.
How fast were they moving, do you think?
It looked like they wasn't moving. That's the thing. We was just staring at them, and they wasn't going anywhere. So they must have just, by the time we got to Gwynedd Avenue and come back, they must have just shot off, because if they were still doing the same speed they were doing, they would have still been here when we got back.
It's a vivid memory, 8 years old, you can still remember it
It's
vividly.
stuck. I can picture them in my head to this day, what they looked like, because, as I say, it was fascinating, and I stared at them for ages. So
What did your mother and sister say at the time? Do you remember?
my sister can't remember, because she was younger than us again.
Yeah.
But my mother, it's clear with my mother as well. It's clear images, and we often bring it up when we're having family meals and stuff. My mother will talk in quiet. She got a middle room full of UFO books as well, so it sparked her interest as well. So that was pinnacle for us. That was. Yeah, it changed the two of us, definitely.
So I take you some close encounters of the third kind a few times then?
Yeah, fourth kind as well. More interesting, but I've had lots of other sightings as well since.
Really?
Yeah, since that.
Yeah. Now, I interviewed you a little while ago about this, prior to this interview now. I know that you developed psychic abilities as well, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah.
When you were at that age, when you actually witnessed this object, did you have any psychic abilities then that you were aware of?
Not that I was aware of, but stuff did happen when I was a kid, particularly in that house there. But I think it's just this. I think the reason I see so many is just the sensitivity, my peripheral vision. Because
we have found this with a lot of psychics that they do tend to see.
What type of abilities do you have
in
in the psychic realm?
clairvoyance mostly.
Because so many people have seen these similar objects on the same night all over Swansea.
Yeah.
We're just trying to pin down all
At the
many
same time
witnesses
as well.
we can. That's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was very interesting.
Which is why I was asking you about the time, because it's pretty important about the time.
Yeah. Because it was getting dark, I just guessed around 7ish, because my friends, when they used to come for tea, they'd have tea and they'd stay an hour or two, and then when they go home, and it was always around 7 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
So we was taking him home, so I thought that must have been around 7 o'clock-ish.
It's
And it was
7
getting
o'clock.
dark. Yeah. But I don't know. My mother thinks it was just getting dark, so
Which would put it well
Dusk.
before 7.
yeah.
Sure.
Right, well,
Yeah.
thanks for meeting us, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks,
very much,
Alvin.
mate.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Steve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
In different localities at the same time.
That's brilliant, that is. It's brilliant. It's a fascinating one. It was a friend of mine, Jenny, her and her husband, I think this is going back about 10 years, over the DBLA night time, and there was a disc in the sky, but out of the disc was coming another white ball, going around and going back into the disc, and they said they watched that for ages.
When was that?
About 10 years ago.